Hey, this is a quick walkthrough of the panel generator that I put together to walk through demo data, walk through ZStacks. So let's take a look at this. So this, if you unzip that folder here, you should get into data report generator. That folder has the internal code, it has an output folder, and it has a raw data folder. Additionally here, so we've got a Claude, so if you want to pull this whole folder into Claude and have it work with you, it's ready to do that. It also has this README that's a little bit more human readable, but it also includes here directions on what each of these different scripts actually does. So what we're going to walk through is we're going to use one data set, one ZStack. We're going to use the crop tool in order to crop out a section of that stack that we actually want to work with. We are going to then use the capture view tool in order to set lookup tables and also set a view angle for our panel. And then we're going to do a render report panel, which is going to give you a nice kind of XYZ small Z stack. As well as a set of XZ max intensity projections to take a look at intensity over the size of the Z stack. All right, so let me close this guy out. So first one we're going to do here. So what I've done here is just open a terminal at that internal code folder here. And then what I'm going to do, so I've got a lot of these going on here, but I'm going to run here Python crop tool. So that's the first one that it mentions to run in the dialog here. So now's a good time to probably fast forward a couple of seconds. This takes just a little bit to fire up. And a lot of this is coming from the way it's loading the ZStack. So this is actually something that I've asked Julio to help with make it run a little bit faster. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is our crop tool. So we've got a few things to work with here. The first I'm going to do is in the middle. We've already set crops. I'd like to get rid of them, so I'm going to clear the overview, clear the zoom. If you're for data sets that haven't been touched before, you won't see those two ROIs. But essentially what we're looking at is an XY max intensity projection that just gives us one view so that we can set this crop. So I'm going to set the overview. And the reason for the overview crop is really not necessarily, so this is at a 25x, the sample fields fills most of the field of view. But say a 10x or a 4x, you may not want to process the entirety of the scene here. The next thing I've got here is this zoom. If you'd like to set a zoom, I'd recommend it anyways, just to kind of pull out something interesting to look at here. So also, when I populate this crop zoom, I also get another window here that's actually allowing me to crop this in Z as well. So that way we can highlight in 3 dimensions exactly what it is we want to highlight by setting a crop in Z. So we'll say I'm happy with this. So I'm going to do save crops. So it has saved those. It's just saving a set of parameters, so that's quite fast. So again, this for one data set, this may seem like overkill, but the intention here is actually to blow through an entire folder of data sets, in which case it lets you do this fairly quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and close this guy out. And then now that we have our crop, the next tool we use is this capture view. So again, this takes a little bit of time for it to fire up. This is also typically renders in full screen, so it does this. All right. So this is our capture view. So what I have here is, again, that same max intensity projection. But what this is made to do is very quickly tear through a bunch of Z-stacks and set lookup tables. So right now I'm working with this data set I've already worked with. So what I'm going to do here is actually reset the contrast. So this is a problem that this tool is actually solving, where it's relatively kind of a pain in the neck, frankly, in just Napari in order to set these contrast limits. So I made some additional tools here to make that easier. Let me, sorry, this is in full screen. Let me resize so we are making sure to capture all the different tool settings we've got here. Okay, yeah, so again, 16-bit image, if I render that in 256 bits like I have to on a screen, typically what you're looking at is black. So instead of using these contrast tools here, I have the black level and the white level controls here, and all I have to do is just click and hold here, and this will start bringing up the contrast. So again, it's kind of the same thing that those lookup tools are doing, but it's just a lot faster and more convenient to work through it. So I'm just kind of click and hold, brighten that up. Maybe I'll pull that back a little bit, but then pull out some of the background here by pulling up the black level, something like that. So I'll do that for the remaining two channels. .538 here is like way in the floor. Pull out the background there. Cool. And again, this is nothing particularly magical. This is just setting the lookup tables through a slightly different interface. So after I'm done setting those lookups, I'm going to save. And then on the scope, I'm going to move to the zoom. Zoom I'm pretty happy with, but again, this is kind of the same interface. I would set those lookup tables again for the zoom. We'll say I'm happy with that, and I'll save. And the last thing we do is set the global angle. So the global angle, here we go, is essentially how this thing is going to render. So this is still kind of a work in progress. That's clearly rather blown out. But what I'll do to kind of navigate here is actually turn off everybody but the 488 channel. And really what I'm doing is just like I'm setting an angle for having the higher order, or excuse me, the more finely tuned, I guess, renderer to go about its business here, but it just needs an angle to pick in order to do the render. So maybe it's something like that. There's a couple of tools here also if you have, again, a ton of these images and you just want to have everybody at the same angle. Typically that's what you want. You have a way then to apply this angle globally. We can save this too, sure, but apply globally. So now it's going to use this angle of view for the default for every single image that you render. So from now on, actually, as you go through the rest of the data sets, you should just have to set the overview lookup table and the zoom lookup table, and then just hit go. So again, I've already set my save again, and I'll close this out. So now the data sets are set to render, and the last thing that we do is run this render report panel. So this takes a minute for it to actually run, and it's not particularly interesting because everything's in the background. But once it's done, or once it starts rolling through, it'll start populating this folder that says panels. So the panel here, I kind of have a cooking show version of this. So if I double click this is the final output that you'll see. So we've got our crop set. It pulled this oblique angle, and then it's actually pulled out here. This is a 50 micron X Z slice, so that you get a little bit of a view of what the whole render looks like relative to this zoom angle. And you can see we've got the zoom angle out there too. Yeah, cool. So that is the process. So this should be relatively self-contained, all in that folder. Again, if you have any challenges with it, I highly recommend just opening up Claude and asking it what to do. Other than that, the README file should also be kind of human readable in the case that you don't have good internet access. Alrighty, that's what I got here.